Thank you for joining me today. I want to spend this stream being completely real with y'all today, okay? Completely real with y'all. No filters, no fake shit, no edits, no nothing. We talking face to face, ear to ear. You get me, right? But I'm here to share my story, the raw truth of what I've lived through and has changed me into who I am now. This is gonna be a deep reflection session, and I won't be stopping for like any chat interactions or trying to entertain in the usual way. Instead, I'm going to speak from my heart, openly and honestly about my life, the childhood trauma I've been in, the betrayals, the hardships, the identity confusion I faced, and most importantly, how I've grown through it all. Okay. All right, you guys. So make sure you guys are listening with an open mind, okay, open heart, because this stuff is gonna be heavy. This stuff may be emotional, may be too much for y'all. I'm sorry. I'm not here to hate. I'm not here to shame nobody. I'm not here to make anybody mad or anything like that. I'm just personally sharing my own experience, you know. And I'm being completely honest in this live stream. I don't really care. By the end of the stream, I hope that you'll see that not just the pain that I went through, but the strength and the wisdom that came out of this. You feel me? And how I became a better person and elevated. And even if you are out here and you feel alone, you're not. Okay. And let's start from the beginning, y'all. Okay. I grew up in a military household, which means discipline and order or a way of life. Okay. My dad was in the military for 20 years. All three of my brothers were in the military. A lot of my family were in the military. I say 80% of my family was in the military. So a lot of my family is kind of structured, or they're kind of like very uptight, whatever the case may be. They don't do crazy stuff. They're not crazy. Okay. So yeah. But their mindset is a little bit different from regular civilians, if that makes sense. But yeah, so my dad in particular ran our home with strict rules and expectations. From the outside, we look like a stable, well-off family, right? And financially, of course, they were, and they still are. But emotionally, our house was cold. The love was shown through control. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but affection was rare. I never got hugs. Okay, and I have never got encouragement or like support for anything. All I got was rules and restrictions. And I can count on one hand how many times I remember being comforted as a kid, which I never have. Never. Or told that I love you as a kid. I get told more from my parents I love you now than I did before. What I do remember clearly is being micromanaged and kept on a tight leash every single day. Okay? Sorry, y'all. To give you an idea, I wasn't allowed to go do many things, listen to many things, watch many things like other people. Growing up, almost everything was forbidden to me. I couldn't watch most TV shows or movies. Anything beyond Disney Channel or Animal Planet was literally off limits. My parents literally put passwords on TV channels to block anything they thought was inappropriate. Like anything. They literally even had codes on the channels. I wasn't allowed to even listen to the radio. Not even pop, hip hop, nothing. They only let me listen to Kids Bop CDs and Disney music. The only way that I could listen to like controversy music, like rock, pop, hip hop, whatever the case may be, would be if I find it on my own, when I have my own phone, which I didn't get my first phone until I was in fucking 10th grade. And then it broke. Went phoneless for 5 months. Then I had to get another phone. So yeah, like I listened to music through my brothers because I shared a room with my brother until I was about 14 and 15, and then he got his own room. But my other two brothers had moved out. So I shared a TV, I shared a computer, I shared a phone, I shared everything with my brothers and with other people. So I never got alone time. I never got to do stuff I had to do everything by myself growing up, but y'all kind of get it if it makes sense. But that would be the only way. Imagine that though. Like a lot of people can't even imagine like the shit that I went through. They can't even imagine themselves going through that shit. Like honestly, I went through my whole entire childhood and even my teens never hearing some of the songs that some of these people listen to, or even seeing movies that everybody else knew. So like for example, with music, I didn't grow up listening to Zero or Jodeci or Tupac and Biggie or like stuff like that. My parents listen to old R&B music. Okay, they listen to like Michael Jackson, or they'll listen to like Whitney Houston or like Keith Sweat or something. You feel me? They're not gonna listen to some of these other artists and stuff, especially if it's hip hop and rap. I would have to listen to that myself, or I would have to listen to that through other people. You know, when I'm hanging out with friends or other family members or whatever, they put on movies or TV shows that they don't know I'm not allowed to listen to or watch. You feel me? But yeah, like I remember at school feeling completely out the loop when other kids would talk about music or TV, and they would literally ask me, "Do I live underneath a rock?" You feel me? Because why haven't I heard about this or watched this, whatever the case may be, even shows? And the answer was simple. My parents sheltered me from everything. You feel me? They thought they were protecting me, but in reality, it just isolated me and made me naive to life and shit like that. So life at home was strict beyond just social media or being online or whatever the case may be. I wasn't allowed to go to sleepovers like that or hang out with people like that. I wasn't even allowed to walk out the door without telling them where I was going or what I was doing. And even if I'm 17 or 18, they don't care. I used to have to not, they used to tell me I can't go past the stop sign down the street. I used to have to stay on my street when I would go outside and play. I used to have to come home before 6 or 7 p.m. So I only get to play for a couple hours. Like my parents restricted me from a lot of things and a lot of people. And I don't know. Like every hour of my day was monitored. I had a curfew, and I don't know, like my parents, they were the type where they were listening on my phone calls because I didn't have a phone. So they would listen to my phone calls with the other house phone. They would sit here and read my text messages. They would try to get into my phone. My mom is just crazy. So when I have a phone underneath her phone bill, she would actually call the phone bill company and ask for all the text messages. That's how crazy she is. Like I was being monitored doing everything, whether it was texting, calling, locations, whether it's hanging out with people, on the phone with somebody, where I'm at, what I'm doing, da da da. It's like everything, bro. Like they even forced me not to wear makeup. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I wasn't allowed to wear fake eyelashes. I wasn't allowed to wear wigs. I wasn't allowed to wear shorts. I wasn't allowed to wear dresses, heels. I wasn't allowed to do what a lot of other women and females were allowed to do. They did not allow me to embrace my feminine side or even my individuality. So, um yeah, so every day like I literally felt like I was living in a bubble, you know? Like like for real, like I don't know. And living with them, there was no room for emotional expression. You know, feelings weren't allowed. A lot people didn't even have feelings in the household. Like never, nobody ever talked about them being sad. Nobody brought up anything. Nothing. Nothing. Like literally nothing. If I got upset, or even if I tried to express myself about something, I was often shut down about something, whether it was good or bad. My parents had a very fixed idea of how I should behave or how I should be as a person or how my future should be or whatever the case may be. So anything that triggered them, whether it was talking back or me crying or maybe me just like giving them a cold shoulder or something, they would get mad. They would get pressed. They would get pissed. You feel me? And it was seen as disrespect. So any little thing that I would do, even if it wasn't stupid, like people was thinking I was sitting over here doing something to make my parents react like that. No, I'm not. I wasn't cursing at my parents. I didn't yell at my parents. I didn't talk back to my parents like that. The main things that was happening was be out of my control with certain things. Like I don't know, bro. I don't know. But after that stuff, after small stuff, I just bottled up everything. I became this quiet, tense kid who just followed orders because expressing myself never felt safe. I didn't even feel good in that house. You know, one of the hardest parts was the lack of affection and validation. In a military style upbringing, it's often like toughening you up rather than nurturing, you know? Like my parents did read me bedtime stories. They did buy me things. They did gift me things. I did get Christmas presents and birthday presents. They did take me out to eat. You know, they put a roof over my head, gave me food, cooked for me, got me clothes, took me shopping. I had an allowance. But that doesn't mean anything when there's no connection there, when you're getting abused. Like that doesn't make up for any of that, if that makes sense. You get me? So I felt like I was never good enough, you know, living in that house compared to them. You know, the love never came from them. I never got hugs or kind words or anything, you know. Over time, I internalized this to where I started believing maybe I don't deserve love or praise. Maybe something was wrong with me. And that's when my depression started coming. You know, I started getting depressed around 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. My depression first started in 7th grade, where it was like small ounces of depression, you know, like crying every day, moping around, being sad, not eating, not sleeping, sleeping too much, you know, small counts of depression around 7th and 8th grade, right? and listening to sad songs all the time, never want to go nowhere, unmotivated, right? 9th and 10th grade year. But yeah, and while they were so strict about my behavior, my parents also controlled my future in very different ways. For instance, they never wanted me to work as a teenager. Likely because a job would either give me some type of independence, or they probably didn't want me to leave the house or something. I don't fucking know, right? But in high school, I would beg them to let me get a job. They didn't want to let me get a job. I wanted to have my own money and start having responsibilities, start learning skills and stuff, and they did not allow me. They did not want me to, you know? And they had the audacity to tell me that I should just live at home until I'm done with college and I get a degree, then I can move out. So it went beyond words. You get what I'm saying? Like, they actually hid my important documents. They hid my social security card, my birth certificate, even my high school diploma to stop me from applying places, bro. I literally had to search all around the whole entire house to fucking find all my documents. So it was just crazy to me that they would go that far to keep some type of control on me. And around that time, 17, 18, 19, I did not understand it. I just felt hurt and angry that my mom and dad did not trust me enough to even let me grow up or be a woman. And I know now that they thought they were doing the right thing when they were younger, or when I was younger, but in reality, they weren't. Maybe they feared the world would corrupt me or harm me, or they were just prolonging me being their little girl underneath the roof. But the effect that it had was the opposite of protection. It left me unprepared. They never taught me the basic things because they never let me experience life. I had no role models growing up, literally, or mentors. I looked up to nobody besides myself. You feel me? Everything I know now, I learned on my own by trial and error. For example, they never talked to me about sex, relationships, nothing. Friendships, nothing. Okay? Those topics were totally off limits in the house. I hit puberty, and I think my parents just hoped I'd just not date until I was married, until I was around somebody that they approved of or something like that. That's how controlling they were. Another example that they never, and then they wanted to have me switch schools because they thought that was going to cure my depression, which is crazy. So I had to deal with teenage heartbreaks, bullying at school, and my own self-esteem issues completely alone, in silence, because I could not open up to people who were supposed to be there for me, who were supposed to be my support system. Friends, family, significant other at that time, it does not matter. You feel me? So it's like, emotionally, I was an orphan, even though I had two parents present in the household. And here's something that I only recognized a little bit later too, was because I grew up with emotional neglect and constant criticism. Like, my parents are my biggest haters, bro. I developed a warped sense of love. I genuinely thought that maybe being yelled at or being controlled was just how love is, because that's all I saw. That's all I seen. That's all I heard. You feel me? I didn't even realize that some of the ways I was being treated was abusive. It sounds crazy, but I thought being belittled was normal. I thought manipulation meant that they cared in a type of way. I don't know. So when I later got into my own relationships, I didn't see the red flags waving right in front of me. Y'all gotta understand, I'm not listening to music. I'm not watching much television. So I'm not learning shit from what I'm watching on social media, or because I didn't even have a social media, or on TV. I'm not learning by music. I'm learning by my own experiences, really. So, what the fuck? Sorry, y'all. Somebody texted me or whatever. But yeah, like, I don't know. Like, later, I got into my own relationships, and I just never saw the red flags. And when I did, it was too late, personally. And because I had never learned what a healthy relationship was supposed to look like. My parents had trained me to tolerate toxic people and making it seem like being toxic is normal. They also tried to script my life path. They had this image of the perfect daughter and the perfect life for me. I go to a certain college and follow a certain career that they wanted me to do, maybe marry a certain type of guy, basically become who they wanted me to be, not who I wanted to be. Any dream that was uniquely mine, they shut down. They would criticize, they would talk mess, they would try to unmotivate me, they would try to embarrass me, or try to hate on me for it. I was a creative child growing up. I loved art, I loved music, I loved writing, but those things weren't encouraged if they did not fit my parents' plans. For instance, when I expressed interest in maybe going to art school or acting school or pursuing something else, like, they immediately mixed it with me being what is it? being in a fantasy world, and like they wanted me to go towards something practical, if that makes sense. I had to think of the word, y'all. Sorry. They even tried to pick my friends for me. Like in high school, my dad literally forced me to become friends with a girl he thought would be a good influence. He set up this meeting the very first day of school, between me and her, and had her show me around and told me that I had to hang out with her. Like literally, he told me I have to hang out with her. He wants to keep an eye on me and stuff like that. Well, guess what? That girl turned out to be the most hateful, fake friend I have ever had. She ended up hurting me deeply, and I've always resented that my dad pushed me into that friendship, bro. Like, it taught me that you cannot force connections. And for parents, they shouldn't dictate who is right for you and who is wrong for you. It does not matter. You feel me? All these controls that they had over me or tried to have over me had consequences. By the time I was near adulthood, our home had become a battleground. Okay, you guys, my parents are fire signs. I'm a fire sign. So it was just hell. Like literally walking in there, I was suffocating. Like I had never been allowed to truly be myself, whether it's talking, walking, looking, anything, bro. It doesn't matter. I was starting to figure out who myself I was starting to figure out who myself was, but it was hard because their image of the perfect daughter kept coming across, and they kept trying to push me towards that. So we fought all the time. There was screaming, there was things happening. You know, it got to the point where I was so terrified to share any part of my personal life with them. To this day, I still don't, because I felt like they would try to control it or they would be negative about it. You know, for example, I got a small tattoo when I was young, and it's something meaningful to me, even though other people might not think so. It's a zodiac sign. It's my zodiac sign. It's me. I love astrology. I've been loving astrology since I was 19 years old. I love the stars. I love the planets. I love the galaxy. I love everything spiritual. So I don't mind getting in depth about it, but I'm not going to, because some people have different opinions on it. But yeah, you get me though. Like, to this day, my parents have no idea that exists, but I don't want to tell them. Same with piercings and stuff like that. I got piercings and stuff like that. I was leading a double life, the obedient daughter at home, and then this young woman quietly trying to explore the world outside of living with them. And eventually, the tension exploded. I graduated high school, I started college. My parents insisted I stay home and attend a nearby college so that they could keep watching me. You feel me? But a few months in it, it was just unbearable. I had a huge fight. It was something super toxic. It did something to me to where I felt like I was going to die. And I had to go. Okay, that was the last straw, and I had to get the fuck on. You feel me? I left, and I was kicked out multiple times as well, but I never felt like that was a home. They never welcomed me back. They never kept asking me to come back. They didn't care. You feel me? So I was 19, essentially with no safety net. They had to keep me from getting a job, so I had no savings. I had no real plan, because to that point, every plan that I tried to make, they shut that shit down. But I just knew I couldn't stay in that house and keep my sanity, bro. So walking out that door was one of the most scariest and most liberating moments of my life. It was like literally bittersweet. There's some good things about it, not having to pay for nothing. Um, you know, having food cooked for me all the time and having everything cleaned, and people buying stuff for me. But at the end of the day, that's not worth it. It's not worth my happiness. So it's just not worth it. There was times where I was homeless. I was homeless in 11th and 12th grade, where I was sleeping outside. I wasn't showering. I was hanging out with all different types of people because I needed places to stay or I needed somebody to talk to. Um, I felt like I had nobody, and I was barely eating. It was a lot of stuff. And then even when I graduated high school, I was still homeless. I was homeless in my car for at least a year. And then that's when I got my first apartment. And a lot of people don't realize that, and a lot of people don't know that, because I don't speak too much about my downfalls like people think I do, or my accomplishments like people think I do. You feel me? So, yeah. So, I was always ashamed of the lifestyle that I had. I didn't really want to tell people stuff. And plus, I didn't want to ask for help. I didn't want people to pity me either. And I don't know, like people just wouldn't understand. So I just never brought it up. I never told people anything. So people from the outside looking in, if they didn't know me like that, or they didn't get to that side, the deep side of me, they wouldn't know all this. They would be like, what? So, You know, dealing with homelessness, whether I'm in my car or whether I was out, it was a mix of terror and peace. I was on my own. You feel me? So, which had me in my thoughts all the time and life, and I understood certain things rather than other things than other people in life, if that made sense. But yeah, I was just so sad. I was hurt. I was scared. Everything. But I was reclaiming my life when I finally moved out. I finally got out of that hell household. You know, being effectively homeless was not something that makes sense. I didn't understand stuff, if that made sense. But yeah, so my parents' support came with chains attached. I chose freedom with nothing over a cage. And the choice that I chose when I walked away from my parents, it came with a price. And this is the price that you guys see today. These are the prices that you guys see when y'all are looking at my story times. I had to grow up fast. I was couch hopping occasionally. Like I said, I was sleeping outside of schools. I was sleeping in my car. I was sleeping in other people's cars. There was nights I didn't sleep at all. There was nights I didn't eat at all. I would have to wash up in public restrooms, or I would have to go to a gym, shower. Trying to keep up my appearance and make it seem like everything okay, make it look like everything's okay, right? During that time, I had got my actual first real job. It was nothing glamorous. It was just a regular security job. But I was proud because I was making my own money, right? And of course, it probably wasn't that much, but it was enough for me to get an apartment after I stacked up enough after a certain amount of time. So, you know, my parents told me for such a long time that I didn't need a job, and here I was proving that I could work. I'm capable, you know. Even though I started working late compared to other people in society, my parents delayed it. You feel me? I wanted to work. I had the work ethic. I've been wanting to learn skills and talents and stuff. It's just I can't because I was in survival mode living there. You feel me? So I was determined to catch up. I threw myself into the job. I picked up a bunch of shifts. I started overworking myself, working overtime, because every hour earned was another dollar towards me getting on my feet in life. Okay, money was so tight, I was basically living off of fast food, dollar menus, whatever snacks I could get from work, even gas stations. I remember I often eat a meal at the food court or anywhere else, stretching one meal into two to save some money. I didn't complain after the sheltered life that I had. Even the struggle felt like living. Like, it's like I've been starved of life experience, and now that even the difficulties were saying something, you know, I had oddly cherished because they were mine to deal with, you know? So, after a couple of months of screaming, it was my own place. At least I had a roof over my head. At least I had water. At least I had food. I did not care. I'm grateful for the small things in life because I know how it feels like to not have them small things. People don't realize that shit. They're not grateful for the things that they do have in life compared to the people that don't. You feel me? So I'm happy that I finally have four walls that were mine, a door I could lock, and I'm blessed because nobody can tell me what I could and couldn't do. You feel me? So the first night in my apartment, I played music out loud. I was singing, I was dancing, I was doing whatever the fuck I wanted to do. And it was freedom. You feel me? But it also came with new challenges in life. So I had to remember, you guys, I had to grow up sheltered in a shell. So suddenly being on my own, I realized I had zero life skills. You feel me? I had no street smarts. You feel me? So I had to teach myself. I didn't know how to manage bills. I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know how to save. I didn't know how to spend money. I didn't know how to do certain things in life. I didn't know how to get a car. I didn't know how to get an apartment. I didn't know how to do certain things. You feel me? I didn't know how to be responsible or independent. So I had to learn. I had to learn. You know, so I nearly missed my first rent payment because I didn't realize that you literally have to get a money order. What the fuck? Hold on, y'all. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't know you had to get a money order a day or two earlier. I didn't know how to cook much either since my mom never really let me in the kitchen growing up. She never really taught me how to cook. I taught myself how to cook. And hold on, y'all. Yeah, I taught myself how to cook, and my friend taught me how to cook, you know? So there were a lot of oops moments, like accidentally setting off a smoke alarm trying to fry chicken or streaking my clothes in a washing machine because I didn't know how to do certain things. So every day was a new lesson to me, you know? But socially, I was also a bit lost. I've been so isolated that I didn't know how to make friends. I didn't know how to make friends. I didn't know how to be a friend. I didn't know how to judge people's intentions. So I was lonely for sure. But also I was wary. Like I was aware. You know, back in school, I had one close friend, And when that ended badly, I became distrustful. Now that I was out in the real world, I wanted to connect with people, but I was too afraid to. You feel me? I started letting a few people in my life, like coworkers and acquaintances, invite them over to hang out, or we would go out and eat and shit like that. But I thought, like, finally I can have friends over like a normal. Working hard and climbing up in life, it's like it reminds them of what they're not doing and they don't like that. But despite all these fucking struggles, y'all, of living alone so young, there was a positive side. I discovered my own strength. When you spend long days working and long nights working and in quiet an apartment with no one to lean on, you get to know yourself very, very well. I learned that I am capable of doing a lot of things. I learned to enjoy my own company. I learned to do activities by myself. I go out by myself, y'all. I go out to eat by myself. I can go to movies by myself. That's why I learned to do stuff by myself. I am not a codependent person. I don't need somebody to go with me to run an errand or to go work out or to go do this or to go do that. I don't need people with me. I don't need somebody to do stuff for me either. I can do it stuff by myself. I felt like in my life I never needed nobody. Of course, you do need people in this world, but I still feel that way. If I can do it myself, I will, and that's just how I am. You feel me? So I was alone a lot, and it was very empowering, because I had to motivate myself. I had to get myself out of the funk, you know? So honestly, after my childhood, being alone was not scary to me. I've been lonely even with people around. You feel me? So being lonely by myself felt better than being lonely in a crowd. At least I felt peace. As often as I say, I became perfectly okay with doing things by myself. That's something that a lot of people don't understand. When you've been through what I have, solitude is not frightening. It's sometimes welcoming. There were times I literally had nobody to vent to or celebrate my wins with. So that's why I don't feel the need to want to celebrate my wins with people that are around me or that want to be around me, because growing up, I'm so used to doing everything by myself and celebrating shit by myself. I don't need validation. I don't need a bunch of people with me. I don't need a bunch of people to tell things to. I don't care. You feel me? So, yeah, I don't know. Like, when I got promoted at a job or when I got hired at a job, when I did a goal, when I accomplished something that I really wanted to accomplish, I didn't tell nobody. You feel me? I just came home and fucking enjoyed a favorite snack or a favorite food or a favorite drink and just watched my favorite TV show, or took myself shopping, took myself to spa. Usually, guys, when you see on my channel, when I go and pleasure myself, like going to go get facials or a spa or going to go work out, doing stuff that I love to do, I'm doing it because I feel like I achieved something, whether it was a goal, whether it was a habit, whether it was a mindset, whether I feel like I'm doing better in life or something like that. I will reward myself all the time. And that's just something that I do. So when people think I don't achieve shit in life, it's just I don't brag about it. I don't tell people about it. I don't care to. I'm sorry. I'm not like everybody else. I keep mainly everything to myself. So I don't know, even with me learning how to play piano, people probably don't know I know how to play piano. I know how to knit. I know how to paint. I know how to draw. People probably don't know how to do that. I wrote a book when I was younger. I know how to play the guitar. People don't know I know how to do that. I was in gymnastics from kindergarten to 5th grade. I knew how to do the splits, backflip, front flip, cartwheels, all that shit. I can do a cartwheel and a handstand to this day. I was in cheerleading from 6th to 8th grade. People don't know that. I was a theater kid from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade. People don't know that either. People don't know I was in yearbook for 4 years. People don't know I was in Photoshop class for 2 years. People don't know a lot of different activities and hobbies that I do now, I was in high school. A lot of stuff that I do now, I was doing when I was younger. So acting, modeling, YouTube, all that stuff, writing down stuff, writing lists, journaling, reading books, spirituality, all that stuff, meditating. I was doing all this when I was 17, 18. I was doing all this when I was 20. Astrology, all that shit. Everything that people are making as a trend, or people that are starting to do in their late 20s or when they turn 21, I did before that. So people don't understand. I matured a lot, like gradually and fast in life. You feel me? And it wasn't pretty. Wasn't pretty. So, you know, it just comes with it. And I learned how to be my own cheerleader. You feel me? Don't get me wrong, there's extremely dark moments. I don't want to romanticize the struggle. There were nights in the first year of my own apartment alone where I felt like I was in despair. You feel me? But at the end of the day, I got over it. I accomplished it, And I was wondering if all my efforts were pointless. All the stuff that I wasted my time and energy and money into, if it was worthless, if it was going to lead me down the right path. You feel me? But something inside me told me not to give up. Maybe it was my stubbornness. Maybe it was because, I'm an Aries sun, or maybe it was the anger I still carried, anger at my parents, anger at my friends that betrayed me, anger at life for being so hard. The anger oddly kept me alive. It was like a voice saying, no, don't quit. You did not survive all that abuse at home just to end here. Prove them wrong. And I wanted to prove to everybody who said that I would be nothing, that I could have done something. Everybody that sat there and talked down on me about anything and everything, I wanted to prove to them that I could do it. And I wanted to prove to myself as well that I can accomplish whatever I set my mind to. And I got up and I did that shit. You feel me? So that pattern repeated. Whenever I hit low points, I cried out, wake up the next day, and I push forward because I'm building a habit. I'm getting over my emotions. I'm learning to deal with my emotions. You feel me? I'm learning to how to handle myself and my weaknesses and my strengths too. Honestly, after freeing myself from my family's control and surviving with no support, I started to feel like nothing could break me. And that belief was tested. And I definitely feel like it was tested through different chapters in my life with betrayal and heartbreaks and fake people and toxic relationships and everything like that, and me having to heal and stuff. And up to this point, I haven't had much experience with romantic relationships either. As I mentioned before, I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend. You feel me? And when I did in 12th grade, that was my very first boyfriend. When I did, we didn't do nothing sexual. So it was innocent. So when I actually stepped into the real adult world with relationships, I was really naive about love. I craved attention, affection, and emotional connection, and I never got it home. And I think that made me an easy target for the wrong type of men. And that period was the darkest periods of my life. Like, I feel like up until age 24, I kind of overcame all that shit. Once I hit 24, 25, something in my frontal lobe clicked to where I am not a depressed person anymore. It's really hard for me to get sad. I don't get mad as often. I'm a really chill person. I'm way more laid back than I was before. I don't let my emotions control me like other people. You start to realize that how easily people are controlled because of that, you know? And to pile on, life's misfortunes seem to hit all at once. Within a span of a month or two, I lost my job, I had a serious car accident, I lost my car, I damn near didn't have no money. I was dealing with a boyfriend that didn't want to fuck with me. I broke up with him, but at the end of the day, I was happy that I was alive. I was happy that, I want to keep going in life. And I had hope, I had faith. That's how I made it this far. You feel me? Something kept me alive. It was a little spark in myself. And I'm glad that I had that because I was taking everything one day at a time. And that's how I crawled out of that black hole. Also channeled my pain into determination and my pain into passion. And a lot of people don't realize when you're in pain, whether it's because a family member died, whether it's because you're broke, whether it's because of this, that, and the third, whatever type of pain it is, even if it's mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, whatever, that type of pain can drive you to a passion that you'll love, or a passion that pays really well. That can make you a better person. That can change you. And that's what people don't realize. So I decided I wasn't going to stay victim of circumstances or anyone's betrayal. You feel me? So I had to grow up wiping my own tears. Even when I was 20, I was wiping my own tears in my own apartment. Everything was grueling, but working all the time kind of helped fill the days, and it gave me a purpose to get up. So, that's why I was selling my old clothes. That's why I was having so many side hustles and stuff like that. I made a promise to myself that I will be way more careful with my heart and my trust from now on, and I want to get to the money. Money first, love second, right? I learned a huge lesson from a lot of these people's betrayals. I look at actions, not words anymore. I used to believe people's words blindly, and now I know better. If someone's actions don't match up with what they say, their words don't mean shit. I also learned to set boundaries and stand up for myself. You feel me? I will never again accept a toxic situation just to have someone by my side. I'd rather be alone and healthy than be with someone and be miserable. Like, I can't do it. Healing from heartbreak, healing from friendship breakups, even family breakups took a long time for me. Honestly, I carried trust issues forward. All this, y'all, was focusing on me every single time. What I wanted, what I needed. I started picking up the pieces because nobody else is going to do it, especially with my old hobbies, my old interests that I had dropped because I was in survival mode. I was depressed. I wasn't in the right mental space. I didn't have the right assets. I didn't have the right amount of money. I didn't have the right people around me. I wasn't stable in life to even be focused on that shit. So now I can. You feel me? When I got my own apartment, I got a job, I'm stable. Now I can. So I started back doing YouTube, as you guys see. I started back getting into drawing. I started getting back into art. I started getting back into my pottery classes. I'm doing kickboxing. I'm starting to get back into my ways of stuff that I've wanted to do when I was younger and stuff that I've been doing since I was younger. And just because I don't show it, just because I don't tell it, does not mean that I'd never done it or I did not do it. Okay? Okay. So there you go. So I don't know. Like, I loved writing. I enjoy music. I love singing. You know, I write a lot of poetry. I even wrote my own book. I didn't share them with people, but it was therapeutic. I also started learning about self-care in a deeper way, not just bubble bath and spa days, but to really taking care of myself mentally and emotionally. You feel me? I began exercising regularly and partially trying to boost my mood and feel physically strong after feeling so physically helpless with a lot of situations that I went through. You know, I went to go run outside sometimes. I would go to trails that you guys see on my YouTube channel. Look at how many trails I went to. I did yoga, and I would go to workout classes. I had a 24-hour fitness membership. I don't have one now currently because I have a gym in my apartments, but I did have a 24-hour fitness gym membership. I wouldn't go frequently, but I would go like once a week or once every 2 weeks. So I started eating healthier. I stopped smoking. I stopped drinking as much. Shit like that. You feel me? So as I was recovering from a breakup and getting my life back on track, I had to confront some painful realizations about my friendships. I've touched on how some of my friends took advantage of me or gossip about me, but one of these friendships turned particularly scary, bro. Like, to the point where I felt like she was going to unalive me. Like, remember that girl from high school that I told you guys about? My dad forced me to befriend the one that I said was the most hateful female I met. Our friendship ended in high school after she showed me her true colors. We lost touch, and a couple of years later, we kind of went back together, kind of flipped, and then I felt like we matured, but we didn't. Either one matured, one didn't in certain ways, and it just wasn't connecting. You feel me? So I just couldn't. You feel me? And she would always come around acting super nice in my life, you know, acting like she supported me. You know, I even confided in her, told her about my breakups and everything that was going on for me and things like that. And it didn't take me to realize that she never changed in life when I did go back and be her friend. She never changed. You know, in fact, it seemed like she got worse, like mentally or emotionally, or she was just jealous. I don't know. I couldn't understand it. You know, jealous of what? Like, I was just clawing my way up from rock bottom, but I guess in her eyes, me having my own place, me having independence, me being confident, me being smart, I don't know, that could make somebody envy them, you know? So she started making slug remarks about me and saying certain stuff about me online and stuff and comments and stuff. And that's when I just was like, fuck that shit. I'm gonna stop being friends with her, you know? And even when I confronted her, texted her, called her, whatever the case may be, she didn't care. She ignored that shit. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go my separate way. You feel me? But she don't understand that a lot of the stuff that she did was creepy. A lot of stuff that she did was extreme as a friend. A lot of the stuff that she did was like mean girl vibes. A lot of the stuff that she did gave you are immature. And I genuinely started to fear my safety because of how erratic her behavior was and how undisciplined she was and how immature she was and how doped up she must have been as well too. Like, I don't know. I don't know, you feel me? But I don't know. I'm not naturally a violent person. I'm not too confrontational. When I'm confrontational, it's not in a bad way. It's not because I want to fight. It's not because I'm trying to provoke somebody or go off on somebody. It's because I'm trying to get you to understand why I feel this way or why I'm thinking this way or whatever, whatever. So it might come off as me being too out there because I'm a fire sign. How it comes across as harsh or I'm mad, but I'm really not. It's just how I speak. It's just how I am. I can't help it. I'm sorry, y'all. But after that shit, I was just like, I felt like I had threats everywhere, bro. I decided I needed to be able to protect myself. So I went out and I purchased a firearm from Academy. I got me a Ruger 380 damage from these people. And I had a hard time trusting anybody after that. Like, anytime somebody wanted to be friends with me, even wanted to date me, I kept them at arm's length until they proved themselves. And I was quick to detect any sign of jealousy or dishonesty and would distance myself immediately if I sensed it. And like, I may seem like I'm a paranoid person, but it's what I have to do to protect my mental health, bro. I'm sorry. Like, I became very choosy with who I let in my inner circle, and that's why, like, I did that loner video. That's why I don't care to be alone. I don't care to have friends anymore because it's not worth it. Honestly, even to this day, I have a tiny circle of actual friends, like maybe one or two, and that's okay. And it felt like I was dying, or it felt like I couldn't breathe, and the doctor told me I need to stop smoking. So I stopped. So learning that I had heart problems actually motivated me to take better care of myself. And it's one reason that I decided I won't touch drugs. I'm very careful, even with alcohol. Besides a little drink every here and there or socially, I'm not gonna sit there and do stuff to the extreme. I love myself and my life too much to risk it, especially now that I realize how fragile health can be. In a strange way, my heart condition was a wake-up call that made me value my body more. I started eating healthier, choosing organic foods. I educated myself on nutrition. I cut out most fast foods. I tried to, take supplements and vitamins and stuff like that, like herbal teas and stuff like that. I started using sage and incense. I started reading the Bible more. I started meditating, stuff like that. And I started doing breathing techniques, different types of stuff within my healing journey. I would even go to a Reiki healing, cleansing, um, all that type of stuff. So I would even go to yoga classes and stuff. I was literally trying to change my mindset and myself as a person. And before I transition to that, though, I want to acknowledge something important. Mental health is just as crucial as physical health, and people don't realize that. I used to push through and pretend I was okay when I wasn't, and now I know it's okay to not be okay and to seek help or do what you need to do to heal. I didn't have access to therapy early on. I had no money, I had no stigma, but eventually I did get counseling through a community clinic, and also I got counseling throughout friends or relationship people. You feel me? So I actually went to a therapist, and I actually am going to therapy now. So it was weird at first, and I wasn't used to people listening to me, but it validated all the trauma that I went through, and um the psychological impacts that I had to deal with, and the fact that I wasn't crazy. I'm not crazy for feeling depressed or anxious. If you're struggling with these feelings, please know that you are not alone and it's not your fault. Life can deal with some harsh blows. You feel me? And our minds sometimes need help to process and recover from things. And it's not going to take a week. It might not even take a year. Some people's processing for certain things, especially trauma, is all different. You feel me? Especially past in life. Just because you become successful in 1 year does not mean that this person's going to be successful in 1 year just because of you. You feel me? So I also learned to be gentle with myself. In the past, I beat myself up for not being strong enough or not getting over it already, or being too soft or whatever. But now I treat myself with more compassion. If I have a day where all I do is rest and tend to my mental health, then that's what I do. And I don't feel guilty about it anymore because healing is inner. And people think that it's like a trend or something. No, it's real life. And healing is ugly and sometimes it's pretty. You feel me? I remind myself that often. I still have some days where the old shadows of depression lurk, or where anxiety makes me feel like I'm buzzing with electricity in a bad way. But now I have tools. I'll journal on my feelings. I'll call a friend. I'll sit there and go for a walk, or I'll go draw and paint and stuff like that. I let my energy out in different ways instead of emotionally or going through a rage or doing something crazy or anything like that. You feel me? I don't do any of that. I don't do any of that anymore. I'll pray, or I'll talk to the universe or something like that, which leads me more towards my journey. And that's how I found out about spirituality, how I got deeper into spirituality and astrology, was me being depressed. And that's how that's what guided me to become more happier in life. That's what guided me to understand myself more, was astrology and spirituality, believe it or not. You feel me? In the midst of all this chaos, or perhaps because of it, I went on a spiritual journey to find meaning of my life, to find my purpose. You feel me? And to heal. I've always believed in a higher power. Everybody's God is different. You feel me? My parents took us to church occasionally, but it wasn't a deep personal spirituality for me then. However, after going through so much and nearly losing myself, I started seeking comfort and answers beyond the physical world. I became very interested in astrology and metaphysics. Some might find that odd, but for me, it was life changing to me. And some might say I was obsessed, or whatever the case may be. But honestly, it's a part of life. It's a way of life. When you look up out at the sky, what do you see? A star. The sun and the moon are a star. All these are stars. That's a galaxy. That all represents astrology and uh, a bunch of other spirituality things. Like, people don't understand that either. So astrology in particular gave me framework to understand myself better. I learned about my natal chart, not just my sun sign, but the whole chart. My as the prompt mentioned, I discovered, like, I'm an Aries sun, I'm a Virgo moon, I'm a Libra rising, among other placements and stuff. And let me tell you, when I first started reading about these things, y'all, it was like light bulbs going off in my head. My Aries sun, it said that that's the core of my personality. The Aries is a fire sign ruled by Mars. It's known for independence, courage, and of course anger and feistiness. When I learned this, I was like, that explains a lot about myself. You feel me? Because Aries are warriors. We're resilient and we like to fight head on. You know. So despite everything, I always had this flame inside me that pushed me forward. That's my Aries spirit. It's what made me rebel against my controlling upbringing and strike out on my own. It's what made me stand up for myself now and refuse to be a victim. And Aries can also be a very impulsive sign and quick to anger. Yeah, but I saw that in myself too. But I have moments where my temper flared and I got over it. You feel me? I got over it. So understanding my Aries sun helped me see that my anger can be harnessed for good. It can be used for passion, drive, leadership, rather than being rageful or resentful towards people. It's like I learned how to channel my energy into rebuilding my life and protecting what I love instead of burning me up inside. It also taught me about independence, and that's both my strength and sometimes challenges for me. You feel me? And the next one is my Virgo moon. The moon sign represents your inner self, your emotional side. You feel me? Virgos are earth sign, very analytical, detail oriented, anxious, self critical. When I read about a Virgo moon, look it up. I almost laughed and cried at the same time because it was so me. The Virgo moon explained why I'm so emotionally anxious, bro, and why I overthink literally everything. It's like a voice in my head that's always analyzing every detail that happened or what could happen or what somebody said or what I could have done. You get the idea. Y'all get it. Y'all get it. But, like, Virgo is a sign of service and health, which makes sense in my hindsight. I care a lot about my well-being, and I often put others before myself emotionally. But the downside was I neglected my own emotional needs and worried obsessively. My Virgo moon made me hyper aware of my own flaws and my past trauma. That's why when people talk about my flaws, that shit don't hurt me because I've been known about my flaws. I'm self-aware. I've been self-aware of myself and stuff that I need to change or whatever the case may be since I was younger. You feel me? It's probably part of why I internalized the negativity from my parents and my exes so deeply because I kept replaying it in my head, picking it apart, almost like I'm torturing myself. Once I recognized this, I started using that as in a positive way. I started to track my mood patterns, my triggers, and I started analyzing on how to improve my mental health. You feel me? So I realized that I have a big heart and I genuinely care for people. And that could be my downside, but that can also be my good side, right? So embracing my Virgo moon meant learning to care for myself with the same dedication as I'm doing with others. So I shown when caring for others. It also means accepting that it's okay to not be perfect. A lesson that I have to remind myself often. Same with my Libra rising. The rising sign is how you represent yourself to the world, your social mass. Libra is the air sign ruled by Venus, associated with beauty, harmony, sociability. People with a Libra rising often come across as charming, friendly, put together, sometimes even when they don't feel that way inside. This was a huge revelation to me because it explained why people often assume that I was fine, that nothing bad ever happened to me, that I had it all together, that my life was like falling apart and shit like that. They didn't believe that my life was falling apart. You feel me? Libra rising be attractive or at least have a pleasing aura, and they know how to wear a social mask of I'm okay. That was me to a T. I'd go to work and be out and about, and I might appear totally composed, maybe even smiling and chit chatting, and people wouldn't even understand that I'm dying on the inside. You feel me? So, meanwhile, I'm anxious. Like, it also means I attract attention even when I don't want it. I've had experiences where I enter a room and people notice me, they approach me. You feel me? This hasn't always been a good thing. It sometimes attracts the wrong people, like jealous types or user types. And Libra's all about relationships too. So I also realized that I had almost been wearing a mask in my relationships, showing the partners the agreeable side to me and hiding my pain or trying to not disagree from them because I fear conflict or rejection. So understanding my Libra rising helped me realize I need to drop that mask at times and become more authentic, even if it risks disapproval. It's okay not to be nice. It's okay not to be pretty, not to be peaceful 24/7. Sometimes I need to show my messy side and speak the truth. Also, me being a Libra rising, it contributes to why I stayed in some toxic situations longer than I should have. Okay, hold on, y'all. Sorry, y'all. I'm literally hotboxing in the car. I'm literally hotboxing in the car. Because it's currently like 1 a.m. at night, y'all. I'm hotboxing in the car. I do this because it helps me get out like any toxic things that I have, like whether it's eating, drinking, whatever. It's kind of like a personal sauna, if that makes sense. So I do this often just to sweat off some calories and stuff like that. But anyways, so yeah, like recognizing this pattern has helped me break it. Like I hate conflict and I hate breakups, so I would try to smooth things over even when I was hurting. And I've learned that confronting conflict and standing up for myself, even if it's uncomfortable, is necessary and is way more healthier than keeping up appearances and trying to keep the harmony. Trying to keep the harmony, right? So I started to see a clearer picture of myself. It was like meeting me, the real me, for the first time. I could finally articulate why I felt so internally conflicted at times. For example, part of me wanted to scream at people who would hurt me and cut me off, but another part of me initially tried to keep it civil. And meanwhile, my Virgo moon would agonize silently, overthinking the whole situation. So no wonder why I felt torn in different directions. Astrology gave me a language to understand these different sides of myself and to start using them like what I learned in a healthier way instead of seeing myself as broken or crazy for having different emotional responses. Like other people, they got different responses than I do. I saw a complex person with specific cosmic influences that I could work with. So beyond astrology, I also dove into spirituality, which is like meditation, prayers, law of attraction, energy healing, 48 laws of power. I was reading books. I was listening to meditations. I was doing mantras. I was doing all types of shit, y'all. So, energy healing practices, I begin to truly believe that there was a purpose to my life and that the universe had my back. You know, in moments that I should have died or given up, something protected me. And I firmly believe that my spirit guides and my ancestors are really strong. And I mean, surviving a car accident or not being home a night somebody shot up my apartment, even pulling myself from the brink of suicide, those felt like more than just luck. I felt guided, like I had spiritual um guardian angels or like ancestors, bro. So spirituality became my anchor. I prayed a lot, not in a formal way, the way I was taught as a kid, but in a more raw way, in my own way. I talked to the universe out loud, tears streaming, asking for strength or signs, you know, expressing gratitude, seeing what I'm grateful, writing down what I'm grateful for, and um, you know, being humble. And you know, I often did receive signs, like little things, you know, like a random person giving me $50 for Christmas, or finding some money on the ground, or somebody gifting me something, you know. One thing that I embraced though was the concept of karma and justice. You know, I came to truly believe that if I kept my heart as pure as possible and treated people right, the universe would handle those who hurt me. I didn't have to seek revenge. I mentioned earlier how I saw people who wronged me face consequences later, like they losing their job, facing their own dramas and delusions and shit. I don't celebrate anybody's downfall, but it reassured me that I don't need to get my hands dirty with people at all, because karma will take care of it. You feel me? God sees everything. I might not, but the universe will. So my job is to live my life authentically and not let bitterness poison me. And this belief helped me to release a lot of resentment. Instead of plotting on how to get back at someone or stewing in hate, I say, I let the universe handle them. I'm going to focus on me. And that was a form of spiritual surrender that really lifted weight off my shoulders, you know? So I also practice forgiveness, not to let others off the hook, but to free myself. You feel me? I can forgive, but I won't forget. So I worked on forgiving my parents for not being the loving people that I needed, forgiving the men that betrayed me, forgiving my ex-friends and the other females that were envious or tried to attack me. Forgiveness is hard, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm 100% there for anybody to hurt me. But I do try, and I remind myself that holding on to anger only keeps me tied to the negative experiences. And I read somewhere that forgiving is not saying what they did was okay. It's saying that I'm okay and I'm letting go of your hold on me. So I pray on that often. I release this pain and I release this person's control over my mind and my heart. You know, another aspect of my spirituality is manifestation and positive thinking. I have a manifestation journal. I'll be writing in there every single day. So when you've been through hell, it's easy to expect more hell. I've had a negative mindset for a very long time, and it's very understandable with everything that I said. But I began training myself to visualize better for the future. You know, I would journal exercises where I wrote out what I wanted in my life, what I wanted to look like, the kind of peace I wanted, the type of love I wanted, the type of friends I wanted, you know, my goals, everything. You know, I would even write down affirmations. I would even speak it. You know, I'm strong, I'm loved, I'm successful, I'm protected. You know, I love myself, da 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 da. You feel, I mean, at first it was awkward, but over time, these words started printing in my subconscious, and I began to believe that. And I would overcome my past and build something beautiful. You know, a big part that was also a big part of this was also discovering my passions and purpose. I asked myself, what do I really want to do with this life that I fought so hard to keep? You know, one answer was YouTube and stuff that, like, my creative side and stuff like that, my creative outlets. I started my YouTube channel, you know, as a fun outlet, doing little vlogs, skits, sharing thoughts, lifestyle vlogs, story times and stuff. It was nothing major. I never sat here and did this channel for money or for attention or anything like that. You feel me? I did this because I wanted to use my voice and my story to help other people heal just like me. My channel slowly transformed into a platform where I talk about my personal growth, my spirituality, and my real life struggles. And I found a small community of viewers like y'all, subscribers or viewers, you know, who resonated with me or with my honesty at least. You know, it blew me away that people cared to listen, but they do. And many people comment about how hard it is for them to speak their truth, how hard it is to fix their own issues. I can do that. And a lot of people can't. That is me. You feel me? It gave me a different meaning to my pain. If I can transmute my trauma into a message of hope for somebody else, then none of this was in vain. It actually was a big reason on why I'm doing this live stream and this way. You know, I know somebody out there needs to hear this. I know somebody out there probably is relating to this or needs to at least have an open mind. Even people in the past that have been around me, maybe you need to know this stuff about me. You know, I also realized I have a knack for entrepreneurship, business minded, you know. Thanks to my Aries drive and my creativity, I didn't want to work 70-hour weeks for someone else forever. As I mentioned, I started thinking of different ways to get money, to become my own boss, my own contractor, create income streams that align with my passions. You feel me? For instance, my love for books. I started my own books. I started selling books on my own Amazon account, Amazon seller account. You feel me? I love clothes so much I started selling clothes on Poshmark. You feel me? I love YouTube so much I started creating content on YouTube. And people don't understand. I even wrote music. People probably don't even know I have my own songs. I have an album. So that's the funny part. I literally wrote songs in a studio. I literally have photo shoots. I literally did monologues, acting on video. I just don't have to show people. I just don't have to tell people. I don't have to post it. I don't care. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But that's how I knew I had a passion for that shit. You feel me? So I don't think that any of the stuff that I have a passion for will make me rich. But if it do, that's the icing on the cake. You feel me? It was something of my own that I'm proud of. You feel me? And nobody can take this stuff away from me. You feel me? Even me considering writing my own book, even though I did when I was younger, and even me thinking about doing a motivational speaking, I'm taking everything I learned and I'm trying to spin it into something positive and empowering for me and for other people. I'm turning my pain into a purpose. You feel me? And that's one of the greatest forms of healing that I've found personally for me. So every morning now, you know, I wake up, I light a candle, I light incense, I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. I write down 3 affirmations where I say them out loud. I pray, you feel me? And I start my day. You know, I might do some facial routines. I eat, you know, and then I start my day. Shower, start my day. Literally. So looking back on everything that I shared so far, it's almost overwhelming to recall how much I've been through. But it's honestly different. This is a different story from what people probably think or what they know. Because I honestly say I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. Even 2 years ago. You feel me? Growth is not linear. It's not easy. It's painful. It's messy. It's weird. Just like the experiences that fuel it. But I want to talk about where I am now and how all that pain transformed into power and wisdom. First and foremost, I have achieved a level of inner peace and confidence that I never had before. Remember how depressed and angry that I used to be? Today, I stand here telling you I am not depressed anymore. And like I said, from the age 24, 25, and up, I have not been depressed. And I am proud of myself. You feel me? So I still have hard days, yes, you know, but I no longer live underneath a dark cloud every single day, every 2 days. It comes and it goes. So the weight of sadness and victimhood has lifted. I genuinely enjoy my life. I laugh often, I smile often, and I find joy in the small things. You know, I'm grateful for everything. And that is a huge thing for me. You know, and it's something that younger me would have thought was impossible. You know, even me being alive this long, I didn't think I was going to survive this long. I didn't think I was going to reach this age. I didn't think I was going to see or accomplish what I have seen and accomplished in life, the good things. So people who knew me 10 years ago, they're shocked at the change. You feel me? They think, some people still think I haven't changed. So some never thought I'd make it or amount to anything in life. You feel me? They outright told me that I had no skills. They said I had no talents, that I'd fail if I tried to be independent. Well, those people eat their own words, and when they see me now, I don't even have to say I told you so. My life as it is now is proof. I reinvented myself, and yes, some folks are definitely shook by it. They hurt by it. They want to bring me down back to that same place, but you can't. You can't. I prevailed. I'm above. I'm above that. So the validation of proving haters wrong is not even the best part. The best part is proving to myself that I was capable all along. I had the strength inside. It just needed to be unleashed. Every time I got knocked down and got back up, I built self-respect for myself. And I know my worth. I'll never let anyone convince me I'm unworthy of love or being successful in life or doing whatever I want to accomplish in life. If I mean, I carry myself differently. I have my head held high. I look people in the eye. I speak my truth without fear. That terrifies people. You feel me? The young me would honor me right now. You know, I carry her in my heart, of course, but she's no longer in the driver's seat. The woman I am now is. And I'm bold, direct, and unapologetically myself, and can't nobody tell me different. One of the biggest shifts was learning to truly love myself. It sounds cliche, but it is very important to love yourself, bro. I realized that I spent years longing for others to love me, my parents, my boyfriends, my friends, and feeling empty when they didn't. And it was like I had a bucket of holes trying to fill them from the outside. And the secret was to fill it from within by loving myself. And I started treating myself with the same kindness and compassion that I would show to somebody else. And that meant cutting out negative talk. You feel me? It also meant taking care of my body, eating better food, getting proper sleep, you know, moving my body more, not being so stuck in a house or stuck in one spot for too long. You know, I began to enjoy my own company and not just tolerate it. I take myself out on me days all the time. I go to botanical gardens. I go to nice cafes with a book. I go sit and read. Y'all, I'm literally like an old soul in a body. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. Another thing I would say how I've grown is I learned boundaries and how to assert them without feeling guilty anymore. Earlier I talked about kicking out toxic people from my life. I continue to enforce these boundaries. My family, for example, I maintain a relationship with them, but on my terms and from a distance. You know what I mean? It took years. Took years. I forgave them for my own healing, but I also made it clear that if we have contact, it must be respectful and without the old control tactics. So, to my surprise, they've been slowly coming around. I think seeing me survive and create a life forced them to respect me more. Our relationship is still a work in progress, but at least now I'm not a scared child in front of them. You know, I'm an adult who will call them out if needed, and I'll walk away if they cross the line. And having that stance actually made them treat me better. It's true that you teach people how to treat you by what you allow. I don't allow disrespect no more, period. So in my relationships, I now have a few amazing friends who are like family. Some I met through spiritual groups, some through like going to seminars and um you know, business meetings and different types of things, even with me doing different careers because I have a new job now and stuff like that, coworkers and stuff. These friends have seen me at my worst, my best. They never judge me. They don't try to compete with me. They support me. They uplift me. And I reciprocate the same energy with them. You know, it's healthy. And so having a small tribe like this has been healing because it proved that not everybody's out to get me. And there are good souls out there. And I'm blessed to have found some. And I also want to mention that I eventually allowed myself to the growth that I did on my own prepared me to finally accept healthy love. I had to become the kind of person that I want to date, stable, self-loving, secure, to attract a similar kind of person. And it worked, you know. I'm taking things at a time. Don't get me wrong, not everybody's perfect. You still have arguments, you still have disagreements in relationships, you still won't see the eye to eye. People still have mistakes, you know, and you got and loving them, you got to get past that. That means you love them. So in terms of career and purpose, I'm continuing to pursue my dreams. You know, my YouTube channel is steadily growing. I'm pouring my heart into creating things that I want to do that's meaningful. And I'm transparent on here. You know, I talk about healing, trauma, tips, anxiety. I talk about astrology, spirituality, practical things, budgeting, money, you know, recipes, stuff like that. It's a mix of everything on this channel, y'all. Vlogs, everything. And that makes me me, and people respond to my genuineness. It feels wonderful to be seen and heard after feeling visible for such a long time, y'all. And it feels like even more wonderful to know that my story might inspire other people, you know? And I've also been working on a book. Yes, I'm writing a memoir. And it's in its draft stage, but I envision it to be like a hand reaching out to anyone who's in a dark place saying, here's my story, here's how I climbed out, and you can too. You know? I'm about to sneeze again, y'all. Hold on. So if I could get it published, which it will take a couple of months, it's not going to be like anytime soon. It's probably going to be random. It's going to be a dream come true. You know? And my entrepreneurship ventures continue as well. I expanded my natural product line when it came to vending machines and shit like that. So I have a business with vending machines. I did dog grooming. I did dog washing. I did poop scooping, all different stuff. Now I'm on a whole different business venture. I'm hitting different milestones in my life, you know, and these things feel like validation that my creativity and my hard work are paying off. Like step by step, I am building something that is truly mine that nobody can take from me. You know, every night I reflect on at least one life lesson every day that life has taught me, you know, or I reinforce it to me. So I'm going to share some lessons that I learned that can sum up my journey, okay? That you guys, I think you guys should know too, is you must love yourself first. No one can fill this void for you, okay? And if you don't love yourself, you're going to end up in situations where other people take advantage of you. And once you start valuing yourself, you naturally stop tolerating mistreatment and you attract better people and opportunities. The second one is that trust should be earned, not given to people. I had to learn that the hard way. I used to hand out trust and empathy like candy. Okay? Some people abused it and they knew I was doing that. They didn't care. You feel me? So now I let people show me who they are over time. And I also trust my intuition more. If red flags appear, I acknowledge them and I dip. When someone shows you your true colors, believe them. And I learned that the hard way, but I will not forget that. The third one, it's okay to be alone. In fact, I feel like being comfortable alone is a superpower because not everybody's comfortable being alone. They can't do anything by themselves. They can't sit in a house by themselves. They can't go out to eat by themselves. They can't go shopping by themselves. They can't do nothing by themselves. Nothing. Okay? When you're okay with being by yourself, you don't cling to toxic relationships out of fear of being alone. Okay? I'm living proof that solitude can be not only beautiful, but okay. You know, in those alone times, I found out who I am. I discovered my hobbies. I built my strength. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. Okay? So, being alone is not the same thing as being lonely, right? And even if you feel alone, know that you can find peace and joy even in your own company. And that's another thing, too. I did not have roommates growing up. I literally had every apartment by myself. I had nobody helping me pay. I had nobody helping me bring food in the house. I had nobody helping me clean. I had to do everything by myself. Even though I had guys living with me at points in time, whether it was for a month, whether they were living with me for a week, I never had a dude live with me for a year completely, consistently, and they never left. Every single dude that had lived with me throughout my YouTube channel journeys and stuff, as you guys can see in a lot of the videos, these dudes were not inside of my apartment. Sometimes they were home. Sometimes they were there. But just like any other relationship, if you are married or you're dating somebody, even if you got a situationship, you're going to frequently go over to that person's house. You're going to go over probably every single day. You might go over once a week, especially if they're close to you. If they live 5 minutes, 30 minutes from you, you're going to go and you're going to go hang out with them frequently. You're not going to sit there and want to stay at home 24/7 while you have a boyfriend or a wife or a husband. That's just not the case. You feel me? So I never had a roommate, and if you would say that living with a significant other for a month or a week is a roommate, then so be it. It doesn't matter because at this point, everybody in life is staying with a fucking roommate, right? But the next one, anyways, y'all, is life is not happening to you; it's happening for you. And this shift changed everything. Instead of seeing myself as a victim, I reframed my story as a hero. You know, every challenge was a test, every hurt was a lesson. It was an L. So the lesson that the universe it wasn't punishing me in a way, it was forgiving me in a fire to become a resilient person I am. I truly believe I had to go through certain things in life to reach my destiny. You feel me? Perhaps to help others heal by understanding their pain firsthand. When I started seeing a hardship as a part of a bigger plan for my growth, it became bearable and even more meaningful to life. Like meaningful when it came to speaking up and sharing my story and stuff. And another one is forgiveness and letting go. Okay, free yourself. You got to forgive those who hurt you. You know, that will cause a burden in your life or in your relationships. It's like taking off a backpack full of stones. Suddenly you can move faster and breathe easier. This anger and bitterness that I carried only hurt me at the end of the day. So letting it go does not excuse what they did, but it just means that I won't let it poison me no more. Okay. Another one is karma's real. You don't have to seek revenge or dwell on justice. Focus on doing right for yourself. The rest tends to sort itself out. I saw those who wronged me face their own karma without me having to lift a finger. And I've seen blessings come my way unexpectedly, which I take as good karma for the kindness and perseverance that I had put out. So now I live life with integrity. I live life with my chin up. You feel me? I live life with confidence, and I trust the energy of the universe. What I put out, that you get back. So another one is gratitude is powerful. Even at my lowest, finding something to be grateful for was a game changer. Okay. That helped me have faith. That helped me keep going. You know, that helped me want to be genuine still. You know, as I share my story, I'm grateful for all you guys listening. And I'm grateful for the chance to turn my pain into a purpose. And I'm grateful for the strength to speak my truth after years of silence. Because I never spoke this to anybody. Anybody. Nobody knows. They might know bits and pieces, but they don't know the full story. So I could go on, but these were some of the core takeaways. You feel me? So I want to speak directly to any of you out there who might be listening and feeling that familiar ache of loneliness, abandonment, or being misunderstood. You know, maybe you see some of yourself in my story. Maybe you're still in the struggle, wondering if you'll ever get out. You know, this is for you. You feel me? You are not alone. It might literally feel like you are, but trust me, I know that feeling well. But somewhere in this world, there is someone who understands exactly what you're going through. I don't know, okay? I didn't know at the time, but many people have walked similar paths of trauma and rising above. I ended up meeting some and hearing stories of other people, even watching other people's YouTube story times, TikTok story times. It shows that other people have been through worse than me. Other people have been through similar situations as me. So I am not alone. I'm not the weird one. I'm not the crazy one. I'm not the negative one. A lot of people have been through a lot of the same shit as me. How many people are in this world? Over 1 billion people. And you think you're the only person dealing with that shit? No. No. You feel me? So it was a huge bridge to empathy for others. So even if physically you have no one in your corner right now, please know in spirit I am in your corner. There are countless souls out there rooting for you to make it. We may not know each other, but I believe we're connected through these shared human experiences. Okay? Your past does not define your future. I felt like for the longest, I had a bad start in life. I was doomed to a bad life. I felt like I had a permanent stain or a curse it's a lie. That's a lie. It's true that our past shapes us, yes, but it does not chain us. You can break generational curses. You can rewrite your story. I did a 180 with mine. From almost being a statistic, homeless, dropping out of college, ongoing abuse, going to jail, to now living in light. You could overcome too, no matter how many mistakes you made or how many horrible things have been done to you. Each new day you should wake up is a new chance to start a new chapter. As long as there's breath in you, there's a hope for change, okay? And it's okay to seek help. Whether it's professional help like therapy, reaching out to a friend, even calling a hotline in a crisis, you feel me? You can even there's even like apps, I think, or like stuff that you could talk to anonymously and get help and advice, you feel me? So I carried the burden alone because I was either too proud or too scared to ask, or probably both, honestly, when I was younger. But when I finally did open up to a counselor, well, the therapist and a couple of trusted people, it actually healed me way more. And there are a bunch of resources out there that's free, low cost, whatever, that you guys can go find. You feel me? Pray, meditate, something. Just do not keep it bottled up inside, because that's going to turn you evil. Okay? You are worthy of love and respect. If nobody ever told you that, let me be the one to tell you. You deserve to be treated with kindness, dignity, love. Exactly as you are. Flaws and all. Don't matter if it's a friend, family, significant other. Okay? You don't have to earn it by being perfect or by pleasing other people. You feel me? To the point of you harming yourself. If someone is treating you less than you deserve, You feel me? I want you to know that their treatment is a reflection of them, not you. Please do not internalize it as your worth. It took me so long, like literally 8 years probably to realize this, probably 5. I was unlovable because of how I was treated in life. You know, the truth was those people were incapable of giving me love. They didn't know how to love me properly. Or they had their own personal issues that they had to work out that they probably never will work out. It's all in your mind. You know, once I got away from people negativity, I discovered I have so much love to give. And there are people who actually want to give it back to you. And the same is waiting for you. Okay? Remember that. Pain can be turned into power. It might not feel that way when you're in depths of it, but when somebody told me during my dark times that one day this will make me stronger, I kind of wanted to smack them because it didn't take away my suffering at that time, bro. But they were right in a way because now I see as I got older, I'm stronger now. You know, I'm not bitter. I'm not hard-hearted no more. You know, I'm just stronger. My scars can become my armor, and not to shut people out, but to protect myself from to the with the person that I become now. You know, and my story is inspiring other people, or it can. You know, and sometimes the very things that we are ashamed of or wish that never happened become the fuel for our purpose. For example, I found a meaning in my pain by dedicating to help others heal. Maybe your calling will be something different, you know, and not everybody's calling is the same. You know, not everybody's calling the same. People like to do hair. Some people like to do makeup. Some people like to work a 9 to 5. Some people want to be a doctor. Some people want to work in the office. You feel me? Some people want to be a real estate agent. Some people want to own a business. Everybody's fucking path in life is totally different. You feel me? So there's no simple path, but I can promise you your experiences can serve something greater. Nothing that you've been through is wasted. And also take it one step at a time. So when I was buried in problems, I often froze up because I didn't know how to solve my whole life. The ideas of fixing everything was overwhelming. I learned to focus on the next step, just the next right move, even if it's tiny. It might be small as getting out of bed, drinking some water, you know, if you're depressed. It might be applying to a job if you're trying to escape a bad situation. It might be telling a friend what's really going on with you. Small steps lead to big changes over time. People don't have to change in one day. It starts with small steps, and that's what happened with me. I was taking small steps one day at a time, 1 month at a time. That's why I changed so much. I evolved a lot compared to how I was 10 years ago. So, yeah, don't underestimate the power of those little actions. Celebrate them. Like, I used to literally, like I said, celebrate myself when it came to little things. Sounds silly, but it kept me going. You know, be kind to yourself. You know, give your hug to yourself. We're often our worst critics. The world beats us up enough. We shouldn't join in. You know, I had an inner voice that was so mean to me for years, calling me dumb, ugly, weak. You know, a bunch of different things, you know? Like, I would never talk to a friend the way that I talk to myself. And that's a good rule. Treat yourself as you would want to treat a dear friend. Give yourself grace when you mess up. Comfort yourself when you're hurting. Stand up for yourself when you've been wrong. I sometimes literally look in the mirror and speak affirmations now because I find it powerful to say things to myself out loud. And other people should try it, you know, and never lose hope. And I think that's one of the biggest things. Like I said from the beginning, on all the stuff that I just talked about, I kept saying that I never lost hope. I always had faith. Life is full of seasons, you know, things change for the better often when you least expect it, you know. In my life, there were times where I thought it would end only to find it was a turning point to another beginning. You get me? So the very fact is that I'm here speaking to you, alive, relatively healthy, happy, is proof that even the worst situations can turn around. So hold on to hope with all your might. Okay? Protect it, even if it's just a vision. That hope is your light. For me, it was the hope for a better life that kept me alive on the nights that I wanted to give up, that I wanted to die. I clung to the hope that one day I felt joy and safety and love by people. And here I am feeling these things. And I can make it. You can too. You can too. Okay? So, healing is not a destination, it's a journey, a continuous and process. I always carry some scars, but I'll wear them now with pride because they show that I lived through something and it came out through the other side. You know? So, I wanted to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who have shared this space and time with me. It means more than I can say because I poured out these personal stories and you know, in a way, you all have been a part of my healing too, giving me a safe space to be vulnerable and heard with my YouTube channel. I hope that I have given y'all something valuable in return, maybe wisdom, comfort, or just the feeling that you're seen or that you're not alone. Moving forward, I plan to continue using my voice and my platforms to spread positivity and understanding. And I want to build a community where we lift each other up. You feel me? A place where someone like the old me would have felt safe to fall apart and rebuild. Whether it's through more live streams, videos, in-person events someday, I'm dedicated to turning my experiences into something that lights the way for others. That's a part of why I'm here, I believe. Like, if you're listening and you could take anything from my story, let this be the final image, okay? Picture a phoenix, the mythical bird that burns and rises from its own ashes, reborn, right? I resonate with that so much because there were times I felt like I was burned down to nothing, ashes of who I used to be. From those ashes, with faith and effort, I rose up. I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm more compassionate. We all have a phoenix within us. You have one too. When life sets you like in different ways, remember that you have the power to rise from it. It may take time, and it certainly did not happen overnight, but you will rise if you believe in it, okay? And keep pushing forward. I'm still rising, okay? I'm not perfect. I'm not exactly where I want to be in life still. I'm still becoming the person. I'm excited about the future before right now. For the first time in a long time, I wake up excited about what day might bring rather than being scared, rather than having so much anxiety. The shift in the mindset is literally in your mind. You know, I have dreams, I have goals. I know I'll reach them step by step, and I truly wish the same excitement, and I hope the same for all of you. You feel me? Thank you all for listening to my story, my truth, witnessing my journey on my YouTube, seeing me grow, seeing me change, even with the way I talk, with the way that I think, with the words that I say. You feel me? Everything is different nowadays. So, and this is not no pity party. This was me showing y'all the real me behind the scenes on my mindset, the stuff people assume but don't really know. You feel me? So, I don't think that a lot of people realize that survival mode changes you, and especially with you being in it for years, and trying to live off of nothing, you know, and being stretched so thin at a young age. Everybody talks about chasing their dreams, and nobody really talks about how expensive it is to try. Modeling, acting, YouTube, businesses, all that stuff, you gotta put money in, okay? Even stock markets, all that stuff. You literally have to invest into yourself. You have to invest into your health. You have to invest into all these different things. You need money for everything. If you don't have money to invest into yourself, you get stuck. And that's what happened to me for a very long time. I got stuck between my bills and my ambitions in life. So I'm not lazy, I'm just tired. People love to assume that you're lazy when they don't see the fruits of your work yet. But baby, let me tell you, it's not laziness, it's exhaustion. Okay? I've been working 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts for years. Not 2, not 5, but down there 8. Okay? So when your body is tired, your spirit's tired. And on top of that, you're still trying to figure out who you are and what path is for you. It's draining. And I'm still going through it now. You feel me? Your healing journey can go on for the rest of your life. You trying to figure out your path can go on for the rest of your life. You got people that's 30, 35, finally getting into their career, finally becoming a millionaire, finally achieving success, finally getting a house. So don't feel behind. Don't, you know? But what these people don't see is all the nights that you stayed up researching. I studied millionaires. I studied real estate. I studied businesses. I studied digital assets, land. I've been obsessed with learning because my mind refuses to settle for basic. It's either I win or I win. It's like get rich or die trying. That's just how I feel, bro. I never feel like losing. I don't feel like nothing that I did, I lost or I've been a loser in life. I feel like I've been winning so far. I'm better than how I was 10 years ago. So that's definitely so I'm not gonna dim my light to make anyone feel uncomfortable or feel comfortable. Feel comfortable. Sorry, y'all. I've struggled too long to pretend I'm not proud of my worth or anything, right? So I tried a lot. I tried vending machines, dog waste removal, digital side hustles. Some failed, some did okay, some I just quit. I just didn't feel like doing it no more. I'm not ashamed because each thing has taught me something in life. We spend thousands trying to do different things in life, trying to invest into things, and you live and you learn. And I'm learning that not every business is for me, and that's what everybody learns in the business field or in entrepreneurship field, and that's okay. What I really want is financial freedom, passive income, real estate. I want to own properties and homes and collect rent and all that stuff, because I'm not clocking into no job until I die. I'm sorry, y'all. That's my dream. My dream goal is financial freedom. I want to feel free in life, and I feel like when you're not there financially, you don't feel free. In my personal opinion, everybody's happiness is different. Everybody's way of thinking of freedom is different. You feel me? But for me, it's not the same. So let me clarify this one last time. I am not lonely. I'm a loner by choice. I go to museum by myself, go out to eat by myself, take myself out on dates. I'm not codependent on nobody to enjoy my life. People think that's weird, but what's weird is being scared to be alone. I've had fake friends steal from me, lie for me, compete with me, smile in my face. So yeah, I'm good on that. You know, I'm protecting my peace. And if you ain't adding to me spiritually, emotionally, or financially, you got to go. And that's simple. I've cut so many people off, whether it was last week, whether it was last year. I don't care because of that, literally. And my standards are high now. My standards used to be extremely low, and that's why I dealt with so many things way back then. This goes for friends, relationships, everything. If you can't grow with me, you can't sit with me. I'm not about to keep hanging out around with folks who don't have hobbies, they don't have goals, they don't think about their future, they don't stop negative habits, nothing. Okay, they don't change, nothing. They're stagnant like this. I can't do it. I can't do it because I'm not like that. You know, I want to be around people who think about their legacy, their investments, their health, their personal growth in life, their mental health. You know, caring about their self-care and stuff. I don't want to go over to somebody's house or have them come over and all we do is watch Netflix and smoke. That's not life to me. That's not fun to me. That's not leveling up to me. That's not healing to me. You feel me? I don't cry on the internet. I don't post quotes about my pain or anything like that. When I post quotes and shit like that, it's because I like to post stuff that's relatable, or because I felt that way probably in the past, and I want to, you know, have other people read it too, or whatever the case may be. I go through stuff in silence, but I never let it defeat me, you know. And because of that, people think my life is easy, and it's not. You know, I don't even cry to friends. You can ask any one of my friends. I do not cry. They will literally tell you that I do not cry. I never cried in front of none of my friends, family either. I just don't believe in letting the world see me sweat. So I'm still building, I'm still learning, I'm still falling forward. But mark my words, I'm gonna have multiple streams of income. I'm gonna have everything that I wanted in life, and I'm gonna have peace. I'm gonna be happy in life, whether people like it or not, whether people try to stop me or not. I don't care. And when I get there, ain't nobody gonna be able to say that they helped me get there, because I did it myself. Through every betrayal, every fake friend, every sleepless night, I kept going, no matter what. So if you're watching this and you feel alone, like I said before, if you feel behind, you feel stuck, I feel you. Don't give up. Your path may take longer, but that don't mean it's not worth it. Okay? But anyways, you guys, so thank y'all for tuning in. If you made it this far, you're real for that. I will catch you in the next one. Stay focused, stay dangerous, and stay blessed. Okay? I hope you guys watch my other videos on my channel. Hope you guys understand me a little bit better. Hope you guys can accomplish everything that you want to in life. I hope this was inspiring, motivating to some of y'all. And I hope anybody watching me from the past, I hope you understand why I am the way that I am, or why certain things have happened. And that's just life. You know, you just got to keep pushing. You got to keep going. You got to keep swimming.